Mini is upping its game in the EV arena. You're looking at a brand new 2025 Mini Countryman SE all-4 EV next to a 2021 Mini Cooper SE. Mini's made quite a number of advancements since its first US high production EV. Let's start with the old Cooper's biggest disadvantage, its range. The 2025 Mini Countryman SE has an estimated range of up to 212 miles. That's almost double of what the estimated range of the 2021 Mini Cooper SE has. The good news doesn't stop there. Mini has practically tripled the charging speed. The Countryman SE has a peak rated DC charging speed of 130 kilowatts. That's fast enough to take it from 10 to 80% in 29 minutes in ideal conditions. At home, it can AC charge at up to 11 kilowatts, up from the old Cooper SE's 7.4. So one of the first things that you'll find different about the Mini if you have owned a Mini in the past is there's no gear shift down below anymore. It's actually been moved up here where the toggle switches used to be. But it's very intuitive, and after you've driven it a couple times, it'll become second nature just like the gear shift did. For those of you that have grown up on Mini Coopers, you'll be relieved to know that despite the bigger size of the Countryman, that it still manages to maintain that Mini character. And yes, that go-kart handling, although I will say the handling isn't as sharp as you would expect in a Cooper. For one, it's softer. But slightly softer handling isn't necessarily a bad thing. For example, here in Jacksonville, Florida, one knock on the Mini Cooper SE is on some roads it does bounce you around a bit because of that nice firm suspension. This does, I would say, a better job of soaking up the bumps around town. I don't know if you picked that up, but there are plenty of acceleration sound effects. If you're not a fan of those, you can always turn them off. Having adaptive cruise control come to the Mini is great. It's very simple. You just hit a button in the steering wheel, and not only does it set the speed for you, it also starts self-steering. However, this is not hands-free. You will be prompted to put your hands back on the wheel about every 30 seconds. In fact, my heads-up display has just prompted me, so if I touch it, it'll go ahead and get rid of that warning, and the car will slow down and speed up. It slowed down for a FedEx truck, so it really does a nice job, as far as I can tell, with keeping the lane. So where I find these types of systems really useful is in slow stop and go interstate traffic. Now, if you want to speed up, again, super easy. You just go ahead and hit your up button and increase your speed. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but there's also a light over here in addition to your heads-up display that warns you to go ahead and put your hand back on the steering wheel. That will blink if you've got your hand off the wheel for more than, say, 20 seconds or so. You also have a full complement of buttons for your entertainment system, so you do not need to take your eyes off the road to go ahead and putz around with that center screen when you're driving. You could raise and lower the volume, for example. You could go ahead and give voice commands. You could go ahead and take a phone call or hang up, all the things that you would expect. So although this might seem complex at first, it's actually very intuitive and very friendly when you're out there driving. One of the things that I appreciate that Mini has done is, even though they've gone to a large touch screen, they haven't taken away those secondary tactile controls for some of the basics. So when you're actually out there driving, I don't think you'll find that the touch display is at all distracting. Okay, so I do want you to go ahead and experience go-kart mode. So we're going to go ahead and get on one of the highways for a moment, and we're going to let traffic clear out. And I'm just going to be quiet for a second so you can hear what it really feels like. So here we go, we're at 0, and I'm going to punch it. and we've already hit 63. So the Countryman is certainly no slouch when it comes to acceleration. It's a nice, quick vehicle. It's a lot of fun. Our all-wheel drive dual motor Countryman has 308 horsepower and 364 pound-feet of torque, making it good for a 5.4 second 0 to 60 run. So I'm putting it in to adaptive cruise, and I'm setting it at 70 miles per hour. And as you can see, I could just sit back and relax, and I will just tug on the wheel once in a great while, and the Mini will do the rest. And if I want to pass this person, I can just go ahead, put on my turn signal, and the Mini does the rest. So I'm now in the center lane, and I am overtaking the person to my right. So as you can see, it's a very friendly highway system. And we'll go ahead and take this corner a little quicker than the speed limit. And I can tell you it's hanging onto the corner very, very nicely. So I can say, coming off an interstate ramp, that this thing probably would be pretty darn nice in the mountains on curvy roads. Another big improvement over the old Mini is the radio and infotainment system. These come with Harman Kardon speakers, and they are much more crisp than the sound system that we have in our 2021 Mini Cooper SE. I'm also happy to report it does come with HD radio, so you will not miss out on any of your favorite broadcast channels. For those that don't know, HD radio, in addition to the channels that you're used to in old-fashioned radios, give you 2 or 3 extra channels per station in most cities. Another thing I really appreciate about the Mini is that it's got a full blackout power shade. Unlike, again, the Mini Cooper SE from 2021, this is not a mesh. This is a full blackout. And also, unlike that old model, this one's power is just a touch of a button, so you don't have to go grabbing and pulling on it like you did. This is called the Core mode, and let's go ahead and listen to it. You could hear that noise, hopefully. And you can see it has a totally different acceleration sound. So it really is a lot of fun. So I've gone down to the trail mode. It's just kicked in. And you can see on the trail mode, you also get a compass, which makes sense because presumably when you're in trail mode, you're probably on a gentle gravel road or something, you know, a rutty road, something out in the boonies where you may not be quite as aware of where you're going. And let's see what its sound effect is. But you'll also see that it'll even show in your all-terrain mode what your incline is. But again, I do not want to try to imply this is a Jeep. That's not this car's mission. The infotainment system is now really first rate. I mean, I would put this in the league of anything I've experienced, whether we're talking Tesla, Ford, BMW, you name the brand. The amount of customization that you are afforded is really impressive. Right here, you've got the center stack. And by default, it's showing one of my songs from Android Auto. And yes, Mini has finally added wireless Android Auto. And wireless Apple CarPlay continues as well. But anyway, everything you can imagine is right here at your fingertips. For example, if you wanted to go ahead and lower the temperature, very simple to do right here. Now, you've got a home screen with all your apps, but what's really cool here too, you can pretty much get as retro or as modern as you want. Mini has a bunch of experiences. You start by turning on the car. So let's go ahead and check out some of the experiences. So you can see if you need to skimp a little and get the most range, of course you have green mode, just like you had in the Mini Cooper SE. One thing that is a little bit different than the old SE EV, you don't have green and green plus. But bottom line is you do get extra range if you go into efficient mode. But here's where it really gets fun. You can personalize your Mini however you like. So for example, I went ahead and personalized it to go ahead and put on EV rider in the center stack. You can upload logos or images if you want. But let's say you want to just go retro. Let's say you want to make your Mini as close to what a historic Mini would be. Well, for example, here you can see a retro gauge package. And they also, in the sport mode, they decide to have some fun and again, embrace that Mini heritage. So if we go to this, what most of us would consider to be a sport mode, they call it go-kart. So listen up. Yes, you do get a quick Yahoo when you switch over to go-kart mode, and you'll find a whole suite of sound effects when you're driving, when you're switching modes. Now, another thing that's really fun about the new Mini lineup is that they have really taken entertainment into account. So let's face it, the bottom line is if you're on a long road trip with this, at some point you're going to pull into a charging station. You're going to have a little extra time on your hand. But when you do, you've got a full suite of games that you can choose from. And you can either play the games by yourself on a touch screen, or you could go into a multiplayer mode, and with your smartphone you can go ahead and have controllers. So two people up front could be playing a game, for example, while you're charging your Mini back up. That'll pass the time pretty quick. You know, although this does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, I think a lot of people are going to end up using the Mini's native navigation that have the Countryman SE EV. And that's because it also automatically will load charging stops along your route. It'll go ahead and find them and program them out for you. So you don't even have to really think about charging. And by the way, in case you didn't know this, Mini is on the list of manufacturers that did deals with Teslas. So, although they can't use superchargers at the time of this recording, supercharger access is coming. It'll probably arrive for Mini in 2025. At that point, Mini owners will get an adapter that they'll be able to use that will plug right into superchargers, so you'll have plenty of places to charge when you're out traveling. Many of you are probably also familiar with Alexa, the voice assistant that so many have in their homes. Well, of course, you have that in your Mini as well. You know, those of us that have smart homes, whether you've got Google Home or you've got Apple HomeKit or you've got Alexa, you could, for example, go ahead and cool down the house by just giving it a command from your Mini. Because again, you've got Apple CarPlay, Google Assistant via Android Auto, and Alexa all on board via the touch of a voice button. Now, for those of you that have the Mini Cooper SE, I want to also let you know that they really have dressed up the visuals that you get in the Countryman SE EV. The heads-up display, in my opinion, is a nice step up. To me, it feels like it's a little bit larger than the old display was. And so because of that, I don't miss the fact that there isn't a central gauge cluster in front of me, because that heads-up display gives me everything at a glance. And of course, everything is duplicated in the large center cluster. The Countryman SE All-4 starts at $45,200 and is very well equipped, so you should be able to get it out the door in the low 50s. When it comes to storage, you'll find plenty of nooks and crannies, including wireless charging, a center console, glove box, and side pockets. There's no front trunk as many EVs have, but out back, it's got up to 56 cubic feet of storage with the rear seats folded. Of course, the Countryman SE is Mini's largest EV. So unlike the outgoing Cooper SE EV, you'll find tons of room in the back by comparison. Now, I would call this room for two in the back, although you could fit a third person back here. But the bottom line, plenty of leg room, plenty of headroom, and you will find AC controls in the center here. You'll find USB-C ports for your smartphones or tablets or other electronics. And of course, you'll find cup holders and a nice pull down right there to rest your arms if you so choose. Better yet, the Minis have opening sunroofs. That's something I really do appreciate about Mini. Many modern cars these days are coming with fixed glass roofs. And while those are nice, having the option on a nice fall day like this one to go ahead and open up the car is wonderful. The 2025 Mini Cooper S two-door hardtop has also been fully redesigned for model year 2025. You're looking at the gas version. Unfortunately, the EV version isn't expected to be available in the United States until 2026 at the earliest. And that's because of the China tariffs. Currently, the EV version of the redesign of the Cooper S is being built in China, but there are plans to retool the Oxford factory to build the EV. At that point, it's very likely we'll see the EV version of the two-door hardtop re-enter the United States. And for fans of the gas Cooper, don't worry. That doesn't mean the ICE version is going to be discontinued. Plans are to build them side by side as they had been doing with the previous generation Cooper EV and ICE. Before I wrap up this episode, I want to give a big shout out to the Tom Bush family of dealerships right here in Jacksonville, Florida, for lending EV Rider this Countryman SE all-4 to review. And if you found this road test useful, please go ahead and give this video a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you're watching this over on MetaQuest TV, be sure to check out some of the other 180 immersive episodes of EV Rider. Thanks so much for watching this episode, and we'll see you again soon.